Holstin is an interesting psychological survival horror game, with the premise being set in an eerie, isolated 90s Polish town that has been consumed by a weird and unusual presence. And you play as a main character that is on a quest looking for answers as to what happened, where everyone seems possessed by something foul, which leads you to explore many areas of the festering town, while you can also interrogate any local survivors. But you'll also have to survive, fight, and avoid the weird creatures and manifestations that lie in wait in order to get to the truth. There is currently a demo available on Steam, and from the get-go you can play through a couple of different scenarios within the game, where you'll find yourself in a house and you'll have to solve puzzles and collect items in order to unlock all of the additional features. And you will get some help from a supposed child that has locked himself in a closet, and he's giving you kind of elements as to the background of the story, while also giving you tasks as to what to do next. But you'll find in different areas there are these kind of growths or these unusual kind of fungus type elements that appear, and in order to get rid of them you have to utilize specific actions, and you also have to try and repower or bring power back to the area that you're within, because light seems to affect it, where it tends to make it disappear temporarily or periodically, just enough so that you can get by into the next level or the next stage or the next area. But your whole goal essentially here is to explore the environment, streets, alleyways, houses, buildings, derelict apartments, all with the aim to try and uncover the secrets that lie within.
Jak pan nie musi, to byłoby trochę wiadomo.
This particular game here has been in development for some time, and it has gained some traction on different games forums, even with Steam, itch.io and a few other well-known game blogs. There seems to be a lot of hype building up around this, because it does have some interesting tactics, gameplay mechanics, and just unique features that stand out, because it has some very quirky graphics that plays from like an isometric perspective, but also goes into a third person over the shoulder point of view, very like the Resident Evil games, like Resident Evil 4, 5 and 6, when you go into combat scenarios when you're trying to shoot or take out enemies. But what's also interesting about this is the fact is that you can mix multiple gameplay styles. You can fight using melee combat, you can use over the shoulder perspectives with weapons. The game essentially plays from an isometric perspective, but you can also utilize stealth elements as well, so you can avoid attacks or avoid being noticed by enemies if you're aware of what's going on around you, so you can try and find ways around them to stop them from finding you or even alerting them to your presence. Because everything you interact with, even if you make noises or if you kick something that's on the ground like a crate or a can, you will alert them to your presence and they will come after you and attack you. But you can avoid all that if you make the right choices. But in some cases you will find that you'll end up having to engage with them, as you won't be able to avoid them in certain scenarios in order to get past them. And that's where your weapons and your skills in combat will come into play. Now, I like the visual style of this. It's very different from a lot of other horror games that are currently out there. It mixes classic horror but has more modern aesthetics or scenarios added to it. It is tricky to understand though really what to do, even with the controls at first, trying to even solve some of the puzzles. I find from playing the demo, everything might seem simple in the beginning, but then when you dive deeper into it, some of the puzzles aren't as straightforward, and they do require a lot of complex tasks or elements to try and figure out what to do next, as sometimes you can currently be left stumped and be lost as to what to do next, and I find that happened to me quite a few times. But I'm sure it will only get more difficult when the full game arises. But what the demo does provide, there's a lot of elements here, a lot of replay value, and the fact that you have a couple of different modes or levels within the game that you can play, there is something to keep you interested in the experience and even to get you familiar with what is to come in the future. So I would definitely have a look, and all of the reviews and the hype around it is real, because it does have some promising aspects here which I think is worth looking into more. Again, there'll be a link in the description. I would definitely go and give it a try, at least if you haven't played it already, because it has so many distinctive scenarios and gameplay styles. It mixes different points of view, like from isometric to 3D, over the shoulder, even 2D aesthetics or top down views. There's definitely going to be a lot here. The Steam page itself will give you a lot more information on the game, so it definitely is worth reading up about it, so you'll know what to expect. But again, definitely give it a go. And with that being said, this is just but one of many upcoming horror games that provide an interesting outlook into the future of the genre, which we can cover here in this next video.